The rain came down as if someone up there wanted to drown my hope. Sheets of it hammered the canvas awnings, blurred the harsh glow of the neon above the old San Angel gallery. I stood alone outside, listening through the thin plaster wall as someone inside barked laughter. I clutched my satchel. Inside, my portfolio was still damp along the edges. Little flecks of blue pastel bled into the white, the obsessed chef's dream dissolving one pigment at a time. My shoes squelched. I had walked the whole way from my aunt's apartment, threading through Mezquicuitla Street's uneven gutters, trying to convince myself that this time might be different. But I'd known from the minute I handed over my menu sketches and the pieced-together menu for approval. They had looked at me not as a cook, barely even as a person, but like I was dangling some child's toy before them. Some people at home liked to call me El Soñador Ridiculo, ridiculous dreamer. Others just called me pointless. A sudden crash inside, broken glass, more laughter dragged me back. I wanted to press my ear to the wall to hear if they were talking about me. Instead, I stood straighter, gripped my satchel and swallowed down a lump of shame. I kept thinking of my mother's voice on the phone that afternoon, brittle with worry. T lowered vertigo, that city isn't for dreamers like you, when will you come home? Her love felt like a leash sometimes, but at least she didn't mock me outright. Not like Tio Rafael, who'd laughed at the thought of me running any kitchen, much less a restaurant. El unico chef que tenemos aquí cocina frijoles y finge que es foie gras, he had said once, loud enough for everyone to hear at my cousin's birthday, and the entire table had dissolved into coughing laughter. Now the memory crackled through me again. I gripped the satchel, wishing I could fold it up and tuck myself inside. The sidewalk began to glisten with a river of refuse as gutters overflowed and the streets swam. I ducked my head and hurried toward the bus stop. If I looked back, I would see the gallery manager, slick-skinned and beautiful, waving away my menu drafts with a French-tipped hand, already forgetting my name. I found refuge under a leaking bus shelter. The air shimmered with after-rain coolness, city slick and metallic. I let the rain wash over me, tangling my hair, and I made myself a silent promise in that ragged night. I would never let them or anyone define what a chef could be again. My food, my name would mean something, maybe not tonight, maybe not here, but somewhere. The next years in Mexico City were not kind. I survived on pushcart tamales and instant coffee, sleeping 3 to an apartment with fellow lost boys. My roommates cycled through construction jobs, call centers, cheap infatuations. They didn't get my obsession with salsas or kitchen knives. Nights I scrawled flavor combinations on scratch paper, using words more than I used actual ingredients. I could afford neither the limes nor the habaneros that haunted my dreams. Days I trawled Mercado de San Juan, watching real chefs choose their shrimp and peppers. I'd save up, buy one beautiful chili pasilla, and take it home to roast in a pan, inhaling its fruit wine scent like a prayer. My dishes, imaginary, jotted in journals, tasted only in my head, grew more elaborate with every week I went unfed. Every family call, every annual birthday ended the same way. Have you reconsidered coming home, Hijo? My mother always said. A real job maybe at Tia Luz's store or for the bus company. You're not a child. This cooking thing is just. Her voice trailed off. Tio Rafael, if he overheard, even through the phone I could hear his chortle. A chef, in this family, what's next, a king? For a long time, nothing worked. Kitchens I petitioned at laughed at my weird ideas. One executive chef dismissed me with a frown for suggesting mezcal-glazed pumpkin soup. I peeled onions, washed plates, burned my fingers, learned what it was to stand invisible beside actual talent. I watched the city spin past my window, all light and noise and grime, but the kitchen grind does something strange. It hones you or it breaks you. I learned the right heat for carbon steel. I learned to keep moving when your hands are bleeding. I learned not to break when a sous chef shouted insults in your ear, each one hitting worse than the last. One slow Monday night, as I took out the trash behind the tiny cafe that finally hired me, I saw a girl crying. She was rumbling through a stained garbage bag outside the shop. Without thinking, I slipped inside, put together the simplest dish I could with leftovers, a still-warm croissant split and filled with roast poblanos and queso fresco. I watched her look up, startled, and take the food. Her smile, spreading through tears, felt like something I hadn't known I needed. It reminded me, food is not what you serve critics. It's what connects you heart to heart with someone who needs it. After that, I started organizing midnight cookouts among my night shift neighbors. We'd pool a few coins, buy whatever scraps we could, tons of chapulines, wrinkled avocados, neglected cuts from the discount bin. I roasted, fried, carved, and tested them all. People came. Someone knew a friend who brought her cousin. Soon, my two-burner stovetop was surrounded by hungry, laughing city dwellers, not all of whom spoke Spanish, but all of whom tasted what I made. I recorded the menus. I built recipes from the ground up. La Cocina de las Lluvias, I called it, the kitchen of rains, because it all began that wet, hurt-soaked night. The opportunity came not with a bang, but with a soft knock. An older woman, Maya, arrived after midnight, swaddled in a blue-checked scarf. "I heard you fed my granddaughter when no one else cared," she said. "I own the lease on a little shop downtown about to close. I'd rather seafood made from love than rotting produce. Interested?" I almost laughed, but her eyes were warm and steady. "She, senora," I said, more than interested. That first season at the tiny restaurant was torture and ecstasy both. The kitchen was barely bigger than a closet. Some days we had 2 guests, others 5. Sometimes only one came, and I would set the plate down myself, hands trembling, silently pleading with the universe to let me keep doing this. One evening, when the city felt as if it might finally cool after a month-long heatwave, I noticed a pair at table 3, an old man and his granddaughter. The girl grinned at me. "He's hard to impress," she whispered as I poured their lulo and hibiscus agua fresca. I served fire-seared duck atop a mole of 5 dried chilies, streaked with cacao and tamarind and scattered with tender squash blossoms. The old man finished his dish, nodded, and reached for his companion's hand. "I think," he told her, loud enough for me to hear, "that I remember what hope tastes like." That night I called my mother. "We had customers, Mama. I think I'm onto something." Her silence was heavy, but for the first time it wasn't disappointed. "What was it you cooked?" she asked. So I told her, letting my words carry the scents and textures, the nutty warmth of toasted seeds, the sudden burst of citrus. She made soft noises of approval. "Your abuela would have been proud, but Hijo, don't lose yourself, be careful, the city is big and you are just one small chef." Reviews trickled in, gentle at first, then more insistent. A local blogger took photos of my cactus tartare. The likes and reposts came faster than I could follow. "Una nueva voz en la cocina mexicana," someone wrote, and my hands shook reading it. I kept working. Sometimes, when rain hit the awning in a familiar rhythm, I would feel my chest twist with memory. At night, in the silent kitchen, I'd read old messages from home, poring over the spaces between my mother's careful words and my aunt's veiled dismissals. I wanted to prove something, not just to them, not really, but to the boy I had been, shivering outside in the rain with only a broken dream and a satchel of ruined menus. 2 years went by. We outgrew the shop. Maya's granddaughter found us a bigger space in Roma Norte with room for 30. The name had spread. We had waiting lists, a novelty to me, a marvel to the city. Food critics came, keeping their faces masked behind sunglasses and skepticism, but many left softened by the end of their meal. When my name first appeared in a national food magazine, my mother called, her words jumbled with pride and worry. "They wrote about you, Hijo. Even my doctor asked if I was related. Would you ever come home, my niños?" I toyed with the phone cord, wanting both to say yes and to run further away. "Soon, Mama," I promised. Soon. But every invitation I got from home came laced with something sour. Even as relatives shared links to my recipes, their comments always ended with, "But you know, he used to almost burn rice, that one," or "Let's see if this lasts, eh?" I told myself it didn't matter, that their voices couldn't reach me, not here, not anymore. But then the restaurant won a citywide taste award, and an unexpected message arrived in my inbox. My cousin Carla announcing my uncle's 70th birthday, a family celebration back in Coyoacán, a reunion, all the old faces. Would I come and maybe bring 1 or 2 of my famous dishes? I stared at the message for a long time, thinking of that filthy night, the awning spitting rain, Tio Raphael's laughter ringing in my ears. I said yes. It took time to prepare. I sent ahead crates of supplies, strange new varieties of chilies, fruits from the Yucatan, jarred salsas I had fermented, and as a nod to childhood, a bottle of vanilla from Papantla, a tribute to the flavors that had shaped me. The night before the party, I walked the old streets that still echoed with my childhood. The rain here was softer, gentler than the storms in my memory. Lights flickered from kitchen windows. Somewhere a chorus of laughter and clinking plates rose into the evening air. I felt like a ghost, silent, watching, half scared of the old pain that lingered in every puddle and corner. I stayed up late prepping ingredients. My mother hovered, nervous and proud in equal measure. Are you sure they'll understand your food? She whispered. I'm not sure of anything anymore, I told her, smiling, but this is still my kitchen tonight. By afternoon, the house was teeming, cousins, uncles, aunts, neighbors from across the alley. My uncle, garrulous as ever, boomed out greetings with the careless power of a lowland storm. El chef famoso, he called out when he saw me, as if the words themselves were a joke. Did you bring us a taste of Paris or just fried bugs from the street? Laughter exploded and swelled. I smiled and bowed my head, feeling something tighten in my chest. One cousin winked at me over the veritable sea of heads. We've missed you, you know, but we always said you'd come back with your tail between your legs. If they expected humility, they'd get it, but on my terms. I set up a row of battered, mismatched ceramic plates on the rickety dining table, prepping one by one. Fire-roasted habanero salsa, my signature duck breast with burnt corn mole, delicate tortillas laced with blue corn, even tiny sweet corn custards with that papantla vanilla for dessert. I wasn't mocking the old flavors. I was honoring them in my way. One by one the family drew near. At first a skeptical cousin prodded the duck, looking for the bones he grew up chewing as a child. Try it like this, I whispered, pouring a stripe of bright green chiltomate sauce alongside the smoky mole. He lifted his fork, one bite too, then something shifted, eyes narrowed then widened. Another uncle, mouth open to joke, slumped into silence tasting. Around the table voices quieted. All those years of doubt and mockery faded for a second. Tio Raphael approached, voice soft for once. How did you make the chili taste so sweet? I held his gaze. It's a slow roast. You have to wait, let the bitterness fade before you serve it. He nodded, maybe out of pride, maybe out of hunger. Whatever it was enough. And then silence broke. My mother, cheeks damp with tears, clasped my hand. You brought the city home to us, my Hijo, all of it, you did it. I saw neighbors craning to watch through the window, taking in the dishes, the laughter, the family that had once turned away from me but now leaned in closer, drawn by something real. The doorbell rang, a neighbor, breathless. Is the chef here? They say you won the premio, the kids want a photo. All those years of cold, slick rain, of mocking voices, of solitude beside cracked plates and empty rooms, it all felt far away, dissolving under the heat of this moment. I looked around, not with pride, not with vengeful satisfaction, but with quiet dignity. I had come home. The city had marked me, shaped me, tested me, but I had made something here, something that could not be laughed away. Later, as twilight deepened and the table emptied, my uncle appeared at my side. You know, Hijo, I never believed. I thought you were wasting your life. He coughed, cleared his throat. But maybe I was wrong. For the first time in years, I smiled at him without hatred. The best recipes take time, Tio. They need a little fire, a little rain too. We looked out together into the June night, the sound of family echoing behind us, and I knew. There would always be those who mocked the dreamers. There would always be storms, but tonight my dream was real, sweeter even than victory itself, and I at last had come home, not just as a dreamer but as a chef who had made his mark and brought the proof back in every taste, every tear, every shared silent bite.